بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. So inshallah we'll continue from the chapter regarding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He wore the ring on his right hand. So we went through the first hadith, and towards the end of the explanation given by Hazrat Maulana Shaykh Zakaria rahimahullah in Khasail al-Nabawi, he says that now that the Shia, their teachings are well known all over, so Allah knows the reality. But that is not what we learn in the teachings of the Islam and in the teachings of the Quran. Moving on to the next hadith, hadith number 2 of this chapter. حدثنا أحمد بن منيع حدثنا يزيد بن هارون عن حماد بن سلمة قال رأيت ابن أبي رافع يتختم في يمينه فسألته عن ذلك فقال رأيت عبد الله بن جعفر يتختم في يمينه. وقال عبد الله بن جعفر كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتختم في يمينه. Hamad ibn Salamah says, I saw Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Rafi' wearing a ring on his right hand. I asked him the reason, and he replied, I have seen Abdullah ibn Ja'far radiyallahu an wearing a ring also in the right hand, who said that he had seen Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wear a ring on the right hand. Subhanallah. So wearing a ring in the right hand. Like I mentioned in the last lesson, the most authentic opinion according to Imam Tirmidhi rahimahullah is also that we should wear it in the right hand. That is why he has put this chapter, باب ما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يتختم في يمينه. حدثنا يحيى بن موسى حدثنا عبد الله بن نمير حدثنا إبراهيم بن الفضل عن عبد الله بن محمد عن عقيل بن عبد الله بن جعفر أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يتختم في يمينه. It is related from Abdullah ibn Ja'far radiyallahu an, from another source, another chain of narrators, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wore a ring on the right hand. In a hadith it has also been stated that beauty and elegance is more appropriate to the right hand. Therefore, Ibn Hajar, who is an Imam of the science of hadith, says, after studying that hadith, I have found that if it is worn for elegance and beauty, it should be worn on the right hand. And if it is worn for use as a seal or stamp, it should be worn in the left hand, as it is easier to remove from the left hand when using it. It is mentioned in the ahadith that the ring was worn on both hands, right or left. So Ibn Hajar rahimahullah has combined the two hadiths, the two narrations together, in which where some narration you have right, some narration you have left. So he's combined both of them together. Moving on to the fourth hadith, حدثنا أبو الخطاب زياد بن يحيى حدثنا عبد الله بن ميمون عن جعفر بن محمد بن أبي عن أبيه عن جابر بن عبد الله أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يتختم في يمينه. Similar hadith. Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu says Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wore the ring on the right hand. Next hadith. حدثنا محمد بن حميد الرازي حدثنا جرير بن محمد بن إسحاق عن الصلت بن عبد الله قال كان ابن عباس يتختم في يمينه ولا أخاله إلا قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتختم في يمينه. Salt ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu says that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu wore a ring on the right hand, and as far as I can remember, he used to say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also wore it on the right hand. Imam Tirmidhi rahmatullahi has written this hadith briefly. It is mentioned with more detail in the Abu Dawood. Ibn Ishaq says, I have seen Salt wear a ring on the smallest finger of his right hand, the little finger. This is known as the Chungla finger in Urdu. Chungla. I inquired the reason from him. He replied, I have seen Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu wear it in this manner. The top part of the ring was facing outwards. As far as I can recall, he was talking about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wore it in the same manner. Two things are mentioned in this hadith. One is that the top part was kept on the outer side of the finger. It is stated in Badl al-Majhud and Mirqat al-Sa'ad that it is more correct to wear the top part of the ring facing the inside towards the palm, so the other way around. This has also been stated in many narrations. This is also mentioned in the hadith appearing hereafter, the next hadith which is to come. Allama Munawi rahmatullahi says that this is the best because it protects the stone and saves one from pride and high mindedness. So a person, he will hide his ring. So that's the best way to wear it. Not the normal way that we wear it nowadays, but the opposite way around. The second matter referred to is the wearing of the ring on the smallest finger. Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayhi says that it is sunnah to do so according to the ijma'. Allama Shamil rahmatullah alayhi states that the ring should be on this finger and the stone should face towards the palm for men and towards the outside for women, as they wear it for beauty and elegance. So for men is different, for female is different. That is according to Allama Shami rahmatullah alayhi. حدثنا ابن أبي عمر حدثنا سفيان عن أيوب بن موسى عن نافع عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم اتخذ خاتما من فضة وجعل فصه فما بما يلي كفه ونقش فيه محمد رسول الله. So this was Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu says, reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a ring made of silver. The top portion remained towards the inside. On it was engraved Muhammad Rasulullah. The people were prohibited from making this inscription on their ring, This is the same ring which fell from the hands of Mu'ayyqib radiyallahu anhu into the well of Aris during the Khilafah of Uthman radiyallahu anhu. So they were prohibited, because then it would become وَنَهَا أَنْ يَنْقَشْ أَحَدٌ عَلَيْهِ وَهُوَ الَّذِي سَقَطَ مِنْ مُعَيْقِيبٍ فِي بِئْرِ عَرِيسٍ. That is towards the end part of the hadith. The reason for Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibiting the Sahaba radiallahu anhum to make the same inscription on their ring is because the Sahaba radiallahu anhum followed and imitated Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in every sphere of life, and by doing so it was feared that there would be a confusion with the original seal. Sayyidina Mu'ayyqib radiyallahu anhu was a Sahabi and the guardian keeper of the ring. He was the guardian, he used to look after the ring of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not wear the ring, it was kept by Sayyidina Mu'ayyqib radiyallahu anhu. In the same manner, if it was kept by him during the Khilafah of Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu, and Sayyidina Uthman radiyallahu anhu. During the Khilafah of Sayyidina Uthman radiyallahu anhu, while sitting on the well of Aris, Sayyidina Mu'ayyqib radiyallahu anhu was giving the ring to Uthman, Sayyidina Uthman radiyallahu anhu, or was taking it from him, and it accidentally fell into the well. So they were just giving, either he was giving or taking it back from him or something, and it fell inside the well. This incident is mentioned in many ahadith. As to whether it fell from the hands of Sayyidina Uthman radiyallahu anhu or from the hands of Sayyidina Mu'ayyqib radiyallahu anhu, the ulama have adopted the view that it was latter, meaning the hands of Mu'ayyqib radiyallahu anhu. Both ahadith are agreed that it happened between them. So whether it happened in the Mu'ayyqib radiyallahu anhu, it just happened between them somehow, he was giving or taking. حدثنا قتيبة بن سعيد قال حدثنا حاتم بن إسماعيل عن جعفر بن محمد عن أبيه قال كان الحسن والحسين رضي الله عنهما يتختمان في يسارهما. Imam Muhammad Baqir rahmatullah alayhi relates that Imam Hassan radiyallahu anhum and Imam Hussein radiyallahu anh both wore their rings on their left hands. This hadith is contrary to the ones mentioned at the beginning of the chapter by Imam Tirmidhi rahmatullah alayhi. It is stated that the ring was worn on the right hand. An explanation can be given that the intention here is to indicate that after mentioning all the ahadith, this narration that is contrary to the others may be of a weak chain. According to this humble servant, the mentioning of the right hand shows that this is the preferred method. This narration and the discussion indicates that this too is permissible. Some of the learned have explained that in translations according to the practice of the muhaddithin, the word ayn or the word amma fi yasarihi has been removed, meaning Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to wear the ring on the right hand or left. According to this explanation, no narration will be different from the translation. from a So, according to some ulama, that the other ahadith in which it mentions that the Prophet of Allah used to wear the ring in the right hand or in the left hand, amfi yasarihi, or in the left hand, has been removed. حدثنا عبد الله بن عبد الرحمن حدثنا محمد بن عيسى وهو ابن الطباع أنس الطباع حدثنا عباد بن عوام عن سعيد بن أبي عروبة عن قتادة عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم تختم في يمينه. قال أبو عيسى هذا حديث غريب لا نعرفه من حديث سعيد بن أبي عروبة عن قتادة عن أنس عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نحو هذا إلا من حديث الوجه. وروي بعض أصحاب قتادة عن قتادة عن أنس أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم تختم في يساره وهو حديث لا يصح أيضا. Anas radiallahu anhu, it is narrated from Anas radiallahu anhu that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wore a ring on the right hand, and some people have also related from Anas radiallahu anhu that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wore a ring on the left hand. The findings of Imam Tirmidhi rahmatullahi are that both these hadiths are incorrect, which would mean that Sayyidina Anas radiallahu anhu could not ascertain the correct hand. The muhaddithin take great precaution and study each part of the hadith in detail to determine which portion is correct and which is incorrect in that hadith. Although in other ahadith this has been ascertained to be correct, consequently today the subject of hadith has been carefully preserved and has spread in the world with nur. Can you just imagine how certain the words of the hadith are? Many ahadith prove that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wore the ring on both the right or the left hand. The ahadith where he wore it on the right hand have been mentioned in this chapter. The ahadith regarding him wearing it on the left hand are stated in the Abu Dawud and Muslim, etc. Imam Nawawi rahmatullahi informs that both type of ahadith are correct. It is a practice of the muhaddithin that although if 3 ahadith are correct for a subject and due to some special rule it does not comply with the standard, they will mention their views on this special rule. Therefore Imam Tirmidhi rahmatullahi has made a comment here, because according to his findings it is the right hand, so that is why he has mentioned a comment here. The final hadith of this chapter, حدثنا محمد بن عبيد الله المحاربي حدثنا عبد العزيز بن أبي حازم عن موسى بن عقبة عن نافع عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنه قال اتخذ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم خاتما من ذهب فكان يلبسه في يمينه فاتخذ الناس خواتيم من ذهب فطرحه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وقال لا ألبسه أبدا فطرح الناس خواتيمهم. Subhanallah, what love for Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a ring made of gold which he wore on his right hand. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, out of imitating Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also had gold rings made for themselves. Thereafter Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam threw away the gold ring and said, I will never wear it again. So the people also threw away the gold rings as well. It was permissible to wear gold in the early periods of Islam. Subsequently this was ordained, made haram for men. It is still halal for women. All the ulama are unanimous that it is haram for men to wear gold. Imam Nawawi rahmatullahi has also stated the unanimous verdict of the ulama in this respect. This subject is discussed at length in the books of fiqh. It will not be appropriate to discuss it here. So try to stay away from gold. Many people nowadays, many of our youth, golden chains, golden earrings, golden necklaces as a fashion. Try to avoid these type of things, and it is haram for male. The ulama are unanimous in this regard. So this is the end of the chapter regarding the Prophet of Allah wearing his ring in the right hand. The next chapter is also a small chapter, so inshallah we'll continue. باب ما جاء في صفة سيف رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Chapter on the sword of Sayyidina Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. Sword. The ulama have stated that the reason for writing this chapter after the chapter of the ring is because of a special system which also points towards a governmental rule. First, letters inviting the king to Islam are to be sent. If they accept Islam, they will benefit in this world and the hereafter. Otherwise, they should decide between themselves and the sword. Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had several swords, each of which had a special name. For example, the first sword was named Ma'thur, which was inherited from his father. The name of another sword was Qadib. One was Qil'i, other was Tabar, and one was Zulfiqar. Imam Tirmidhi rahmatullahi has quoted 4 ahadith in this chapter. So inshallah we'll move on to the hadith. حدثنا محمد بن بشار حدثنا وهب بن جرير حدثنا أبي عن قتادة عن أنس رضي الله عنه قال كان قبيعة سيف رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من فضة. Anas رضي الله عنه reports that the handle of the sword of Sayyidina Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم was made of silver. Allama Bayjuri rahmatullahi writes that this about the sword named Zulfiqar. So this is the sword with name of which was Zulfiqar. At the time of conquering Mecca, Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had this sword. Subhanallah. حدثنا محمد بن بشار حدثنا معاذ بن هشام حدثني أبي عن قتادة عن سعيد بن أبي الحسن البصري قال كانت قبيعة سيف رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من فضة. Similar hadith. Sa'id ibn Abu al-Hasan al-Basri rahmatullahi radiyallahu anhu has related the same hadith, that the handle grip of the sword of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was made of silver. Moving on to the third hadith. حدثنا أبو جعفر محمد بن صدران البصري حدثنا طالب بن حجير عن هود وهو ابن عبد الله بن سعيد عن جده قال دخل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مكة يوم الفتح وعلى سيفه ذهب وفضة. قال طالب فسألته عن الفضة فقال كانت قبيعة السيف فضة. Mazid ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, the paternal grandfather of Hud, says that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered Mecca on the day it was being conquered, his sword had gold and silver on it. Talib, who is one of the narrators of this hadith, says, I asked the Ustad. He asked the narrator who he was taking the hadith from, on which part of the sword was the silver? He replied, the cup of the grip handle was made of silver. According to the majority of the ulama, it is not permissible to use gold on a sword. This hadith cannot be used as proof and it has been declared to be weak. Allama Turpushti Rahmatullahi says that this hadith cannot be used as an argument because its sanad, chain of narrators, cannot be relied upon. The use of silver for the handle etc. is permissible. According to the previous hadith, it is said that since it is not permissible to use gold, the narrator did not care to investigate which portion of the sword was made of gold. He only investigated those portions that were made of silver. So it is not, this hadith is weak, so we cannot use a sword of gold. The final hadith, حدثنا محمد بن شجاع البغدادي حدثنا أبو عبيدة الحداد عن عثمان بن سعد عن ابن سيرين قال صنعت سيفي على سيف سمرة بن جندب وزعم سمرة أنه صنع سيفه على سيف رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وكان حنفيا. حدثنا عقبة ابن مكرم البصري حدثنا محمد ابن بكر عن عثمان ابن سعد بهذا الإسناد نحوه. Ibn Sirin says, I made my sword like the sword of Samura ibn Jundub radiallahu an. He said that he had his sword made in the same manner as the sword of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as the one Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. The sword was the type used by the tribe of Banu Hanifa, Hanafiyan. Banu Hanifa was the tribe in Arabia who were famous for manufacturing gold, good quality swords. These people, one after another, in imitating Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, made a replica of this sword. Subhanallah. May Allah give us the ability to also become a living replica of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the whole incident, or this is the whole narration, or this is the whole reason why we are going through these lessons. So inshallah we can become a replica. Reading from the Khulasa, the Prophet ﷺ had swords, the grip of which were made of silver. They were made by the Banu Hanifa tribe. May Almighty Allah first of all give me the ability to follow the teaching of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, become a living replica of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah give us the ability to follow the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in everything of life, like how the Sahaba did. The Prophet of Allah is the Habib of Allah. The Sahaba, they followed him and they stayed in his company and they emulated him and they wanted to replicate him in everything. They became radiyallah. If you want to become the pleased ones of Allah, if we want to become the close ones of Allah, we need to follow the beloved of Allah. Inshallah, Allah will make us His beloved. May Allah make that a reality. Ameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala rasulina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.